meeting to order. Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka.
Here.
Councilwoman Mazer.
Here.
Councilman Garrick.
Here.
Councilman Accomando.
Here.
Council President Orminio.
Here. Please rise for the salute to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence in memory of Patricia Malusi, Head of Circulation at Saddlebrook Public Library, and retired Police Sergeant and former council member John Musser. And, Ellen, the veterans. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members on October 27, 2017, and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
The public is hereby advised that any statements made during the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook may not be privileged or protected, and that persons or entities who take issue with such comments or are offended by same may have in the past sought legal redress through the courts. Any member of the public who addresses the council speaks for themselves and not for the council.
Before I ask for a motion to open to the public, Mayor, we have presentations.
Yes, thank you, Council President. At this time, I want to introduce Thomas Van Winkle, who is the mayor's mayor and council liaison to the mayor's youth group. Thomas?
Good evening, everybody. This past week, the mayor's youth group judged the houses that entered the contest for the Halloween decorating. So youth group members, along with Mayor White, drove around town to look at all the homes that registered for the Halloween decorating contest. We had a fun night and enjoyed seeing all the spooky and fun decorations. We would like to thank all the participants and encourage them to decorate and register for our holiday contest coming up in December. Exact dates, I'm assuming, will be announced at a later time. Although the choices were not easy, come on guys, don't make it too hard for us. We rated the homes, tallied the scores, and arrived at the following winners. I'm going to call up third place through first place, and as your names are called, please come forward at this time. Third place, the Ciano family at 73 North West Wing Ave.
Congratulations.
Second place, we have the Presti family. Are they here? Oh, there you go. Man. Can we just do a picture? Okay. And last, but certainly not least, we have our first place family, the Lefebvre family at 76 Oxford Avenue. All right, can we do a picture? Just a little bit, yeah. Congratulations once again to all of our winners, and we hope to see many of you sign up for the holiday decorating contest in December. Just real quick about the Mayor's Youth Group. We're going to have our next meeting, I guess, sometime in November this month, maybe the 11th or 18th. We're not sure of an exact date. Also, the Mayor's Youth Group will be assisting the First Reformed Church in their Operation Christmas Child shoebox packing party. What they do is they pack shoe boxes that'll go with gifts that'll go overseas to third world countries for the holidays. So we're going to be participating in that on Sunday, November 12th at 3 o'clock. We'll be in the church's fellowship hall where you could park on the Saddle River Road parking lot. Okay? And also we'll be judging the holiday decorating contest. We don't have a date for that yet, but if you come to our next meeting, we'll have that for you. So we're looking forward to the, oh yes, and also, the Mayor's Youth Group will be definitely assisting at the tree lighting and the holiday party, which is the day after Thanksgiving, which is the 24th, right? November 24th at 6 o'clock will be the tree lighting here at Town Hall, and then following will be the holiday party at the high school gym. So we'll be participating in plenty of activities, and we hope you can join us. The Mayor's Youth Group is open to all Stourbrook students in grades 4 through 12. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Can I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is now open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak, please come up and state your name and your address.
Turn this around, right? Hi, Josephine Barisi, 273 3rd Street. I'm here because of the traffic light on Route 46 and 5th Street. I know that this is not a township issue, that it's a state thing, because I had come before the council many years ago about it. It has gotten worse. I mean, if you can send any officers to check the situation out, or, tell me who I can write to, or if you guys can do something about it. It's so bad. If you can't even make a left-hand turn there, and people are just going right through the light, right past it, right through the red light. I come down Jefferson sometimes, and it's just, you can't even get through there. So I was just wondering if anybody could look into that situation. There's gonna be an accident there someday. It's gonna be really bad. I've almost been hit many times. So whatever can be done, if you can look into it, I'd appreciate it.
Mayor?
Yes, that is a state issue. We can contact our state senator and our assembly people. We do have Chief Kugler here. I don't know, Chief, you want to address this issue about Route 46?
And if, let me know, or I can get people in my area
Sure.
to, write letters, or whoever we can contact. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Stay here, though. What exactly, the left turn, meaning crossing 46?
Yeah, going across 46, early in the morning, it's a mess.
Right.
People going to Franklin School, I avoid it at all costs. I try to go through, Atwater Lane to get to school. But, people trying to make the left, you can't make a left there, and it backs everything up onto 5th Street both ways, in both directions.
I understand now. Okay.
So,
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Mayor, Council, thank you for allowing me my input here, because I live right around the corner from that traffic light, and I can tell you that 5th Street backs up on the north side, backs up on the south as well, but north is worse, and that's for traffic going south. That traffic light is on a cycle, so at, say, 4:30 in the afternoon, Monday to Friday, the priority is to clear Route 46, and that's the reason why sometimes this cycle, and there have been people that told me this cycle is only lasting about 8 to 10 seconds for traffic on 5th Street. So I know the problem exists. We spoke to state authorities on it, DOT, and they came out many times and said, it's operating in the right function. But practically, the residents, and I know because I live there, that if you go there at 4:30, I try and avoid the area between 4:30 and 5:30, because if it's 4:30 and you're going south, you sit at that light maybe 10 to 20 minutes just to get across. So I understand the conflict there about our residents that want to cross 46, and it's been a problem. It's been a problem for years, and I guess all we can do again is to notify the DOT and ask the DOT to come out and take a look at that one more time, and then at least come up with some type of answer where we go from there. But thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Chief.
Council
you.
President, to the chief, to everyone, but, including the chief, I think I brought this up last month, and I don't know if it was at the regular meeting or at the work session, but I was approached by somebody with the same concerns as this resident here. And the solution that he proposed was to see if there can be a left turn only signal going in both directions, because what ends up happening, I think his problem was basically going south on 5th, crossing 46, and what happens is the vehicles that are either going to turn onto 46 or go straight, going northbound on on Fifth Street, there's nobody that can turn left, so you get stuck in that intersection, or you're stopped there. So my concern was, I don't know if anyone did, but to approach the state and see if they can do a study and possibly do a whatever, even if it's 10-second left turn signal for both directions. This way, we could clear out whatever, 5, 10 cars at least at some point, and then you might get, after some clearance, you might get a little more movement there. So I'm sure that if the state does come in, obviously you and your force will do whatever they have to do to assist them, and maybe it'll alleviate the concerns. I'm not sure if this resident the concern was coming northbound?
It's both ways.
Both ways.
Yeah.
They can, if you,
The-
like you said, do the left both ways.
That's,
For a few seconds,
that's a possible solution, and I'll put it out there if we do get in touch, and we should get in touch with the state, that's, I mean, I'm not a traffic expert, but doesn't seem like it's doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out that if you can clear the traffic with left turn only, it's going to clear the traffic.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
exactly on one light going east, one light going west, both in Elmwood Park and in Lodi, similar. It's exactly what you said, where they allow one side to come over first, and then the other side. So Fifth Street seems to be behind the times, but hopefully that could be a suggestion we make to the state authorities. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
How's everyone doing tonight? Damon Tudelich, 550 Fairlawn Parkway. First, I want to say thank you for all you guys do. I know you guys get a lot of complaints, but I lived in this town 3 years and had nothing but great experiences with you guys, the police department as well, in response. Coming here today to talk a little bit about the traffic and the speed of traffic on Fairlawn Parkway. I recently had a car, and I have it on video, driving up my neighbor's front lawn and crashing into a fence, or hitting up against a fence. Oh, and I also have, sorry, I thought my voice was loud enough. I got a very loud voice. And I also have on video a bus going 25 miles an hour and a car passing it in the left lane. And I have to say, the cops are always there. They do a fantastic job, but the solution isn't having the cops there 24/7. The solution is working with a traffic council, similar to like we have at Woodridge, where I came from. Don't know if there's one in town here, but putting together something that is a more permanent fix than having those police officers there all the time. And I am the guy, if you guys know, that spent $2,500 on a speed radar because my kids are worth way more than that. And something needs to be done because it's just been out of control lately. And I'm here to help, whatever I can do to help. It's not just going to be you guys. It won't just be the cops. It's us all coming together to figure something out.
We discussed that, Mayor.
Yes, thank you for bringing that to light. I know that the police have been active there,
They've been great.
especially the last month.
Absolutely.
We had the one incident where the child was struck that was crossing the street. I don't know if you're aware of
Yeah,
that.
I am aware of that, yes.
Okay. I'm going to defer to Chief Kugler again. He's here. I'm happy that he is. So
Put him
I
to
want-
work. Put him
Right.
to
I
work,
want
Chief.
to. He'll let us know what the police have been doing, and maybe some
exactly.
more permanent solutions.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know if that's your video, but I've seen the video of the boy struck. Was that your video?
Going past the school bus, the truck, and
Well-
then the video of the car coming up at 2 in the morning, way up on my neighbor's lawn, and then taking off. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was a different video, but I've actually
No, I
seen
have
the
videos.
video of the boy struck by the car. It was a horrible scene, and our thoughts and prayers are with that family, and not only with the family and the boy, but the person who struck him. Phelan Parkway is a problem, roadway, because it's so wide. Phelan has probably most of it, but we certainly have 1/3 or more of that problem. So we're working together with Phelan as well. But I just came back from a police conference, and one of the things that were there, and we're going to recommend this to the mayor and council in due time, probably now, is to get these speed radar boxes that get mounted permanently with a solar attachment. And it basically shows your speed, and if you're going over 25, as soon as you reach 26, it'll flash, slow down, slow down, slow down. Garfield has them throughout their city. They use the same vendor, and they're about $2,500, and that's not a lot of money to commit from the township to put on a certain roadway, whether it be Phelan Parkway, President Street, or the other streets that we're talking about. We got problem speed, but Phelan Parkway is certainly one of the roadways. I live on another 5th Street between Route 46 and Market that you can easily say they're traveling in excess of 40 miles an hour. So we understand the problem from the police department perspective. I can tell you that our patrol captain is on top of this matter with his patrol officers. They've been out there a lot, but just like the gentleman said, we're not out there 24/7, and probably like cell phone violations, they happen every day and maybe every minute of every day along our roadways as well as all the roadways. So we're on the matter and we do care, and certainly our thoughts and prayers for this family, this young boy that was struck. So I understand the problem, and we'll be hopefully addressing it with the mayor and council in due time about getting those boxes out there. We do have the mobile box we put out, but I think this permanent one stationed on certain areas that have speed problems, habitual speed problems, like Fairlawn Parkway, I think that will help let the motorists police themselves, so to speak.
Thank you,
Hope that
Chief.
helps a little bit.
Through the chair? Sir, Mr. Tutelage?
Yes,
Just
sir.
want to, you gave, I think, the number of your, on Fairlawn Parkway. Which streets are they in between?
550, Tom, help me out with this.
So, I mean, Wilson and, what's that?
Well, he's up the block from Wilson, so I live on Wilson, that's a problem street as
Yeah.
far as I'm here.
Herbert?
Right next to the,
Yeah, so.
the memorial.
Right where it bends around before
Yeah.
the
Okay, okay. Just so we're aware, and I don't even know if the chief is aware of this, but Mr. Rango just leaned over because I'm the closest. So he told me, we are doing Fairlawn Parkway. We are doing a project on Fairlawn Parkway, and perhaps his suggestion, I think it's a great one, to possibly include those boxes that the chief referenced as part of the grant application to do it at the same time, since we are going to be doing paving on Fairlawn Parkway, and perhaps we can incorporate it. I think it's a great idea by Mr. Arango, who's our engineer.
Yeah, and just one other thing, it's where I am, right by the memorial. And even there's just no signs. You don't know whether to yield, to stop, to go. And I should have came a lot earlier. When I had first moved there, my mother was walking across the street, and just because all the traffic, she started running at 70 years old, had a concussion as well. Now, was it the car's fault? Not necessarily, but the vibe you just get on that road is, it's a speedway. And at the end of the day, we know it's not. A lot of times it's people in town, so it makes it tough, right? You pull someone over, it's someone in town, they live right up the block, so the people in town got to know themselves. And one other point just to add, the UPS trucks as well. I mean, they drive the fastest out of anyone going up and down Fairlawn Parkway. So thank you for listening, guys. I really appreciate it, and please keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Donna Hernandez, 145 Wilson Street. I was here before about my situation on Wilson Street. I'm right off Fairlawn Parkway, and they just come zooming down. We had a speed box, but it worked a couple days and didn't work, so I don't know. I don't know if this is falling on deaf ears, but I'm here to support my neighbors too, because this is getting really bad. And someone really needs to do something. I don't know if it's, in town or the county or what. But Wilson Street, it's a through street, so they're just like coming off. And we have a lot more kids on our block, and it's really dangerous. And the child that got hit was I live right adjacent to him, right behind him. So it's a terrible thing, and we need to get our heads up on it. That's all I need to say.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Tom Adzinski, 144 Wilson. Just want to back up with what my neighbor said, and I've been there 4.5 years. Speeding has been a problem coming off Fairlawn, coming across the Midland. I've got 2 kids. There's a bunch of kids on the block. There's a bunch of people live on the block, and it's a dangerous street, being close to Fairlawn Parkway. And the police have been fantastic with response, but again, they're not there 24/7. If we can do something to figure out how to remediate this problem, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Joe Camilleri, 289 Albany Street. It's with great sorrow that I have to come and speak here to defend myself. But once again, mud gets flung on the wall to see if it sticks. It's full of lies and many facts left out. What really should be said are the things that you have done for Saddlebrook. That's what we really should be speaking about. And as for myself, I could speak up here for hours and hours, but I know we have a 3-minute time limit. Dave, I don't think you could speak up here for 3 seconds. Sorry, Karen. I would need to have quite some time to tell everybody what I've done for Saddlebrook over my lifetime in this town. There's quite a few things, quite a few projects, quite a few recreation things. It is sad. Mayor Bob, real quick and to the point. You've become a very tiny man. You should be ashamed of yourself. You disrespected all the men and women in our armed forces by trying to use my son as a political football. And another thing which is very shameful coming from a mayor, and I was at the meeting to testify and witness it, where you threatened and bullied a woman in town. Okay? And you did it without any remorse. You did it without saying you were sorry. It's shameful. One question I have for our attorney with this whole deal, the whole anti-nepotism ordinance. I feel you didn't represent me, represent myself one little bit. Because other ordinances that were passed in this town, other council people were grandfathered in and everybody moved forward. I was a sitting council person when this ordinance was put into play, and I just feel you didn't represent me at all. Dave, a few questions for you. When I ran with Ms. Mazur in the last election, I asked you to run with us, correct? Correct?
I'm listening, Jeff.
No, man, I asked you a question, correct?
You have your 3 minutes.
I just want that answered.
You have your 3 minutes.
I want that answered, Dave.
I don't want to waste your time, my friend.
You're not, because it's a simple yes. And Ms. Mazur, you could attest to it.
Time's up, Joe.
Wow, that was quick.
They let the other people.
Yeah, I know. That was quick.
No, time is up.
You let other people
Time is up.
other people go.
No, the chief responded to a question. that
Thank you.
elicited that.
Thank you.
You can't give 3 people.
Larry,
I was.
I thought they went way past.
George Lewis, Garden Street, Saddlebrook. My question is for David Garrett. David Garrett, last month you stood here after I spoke and you said to everybody in this room that you backed up Dr. Katz on everything he did with my son when my son was threatened by another student with a gun. Okay? So I'm here to follow up with that, what you said. On your Facebook page, there's a gentleman that posted on your council page, okay? He posted that, and I'm going to tell you exact words. Reference the TV council meeting. Dave and entire BOE handled subject complaint best they could for both parties involved. Was thoroughly investigated. Dave G did no wrong despite TV accusations. Okay? My question to you is this, my friend. Is this gentleman by the name of Charles Hafsas, is he part of the school board? Is he part of the school district? Is he part of the council? Okay.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. So why is he posting on your page that he knows what happened in my son's investigation? Is it or not privacy? You're supposed to give me my privacy, right? Because when I asked you about the other student, you never gave me any information, correct? So why is it that your friend is posting on Facebook that he knows exactly what happened in my son's case? Do you sit around on the weekend and have coffee and talk with your friends on what goes on in the school board or in the school district or in the town? Answer me.
Absolutely not.
Okay, so how does he know that you handled the investigation correctly?
You'd have to ask him.
Okay. I'm going to have my attorney call you and ask you. And him. Okay? And again, you did nothing for my son. And whoever doesn't believe me, they can go on, they can Google my name, George Lewis, okay, Saddlebrook, and it'll come up, plain as day, a video of Dr. Katz saying how he messed up on my son's situation, and you still have the face to sit there and look at me and tell me you backed him up 100%? That's the integrity you're bringing to this town? Really? You couldn't back my family up or my kid or protect my son, and you still have the face to sit there after a meeting and say that you backed him up? Really? That's the type of guy that's running for council? And again, you will not get my vote or any vote from any of my family members. You know why? Because you're no good for this town. And I'm going to let you know something, Flo Mazer. Your grandson was a gentleman. Your grandson stood up for my son when my son was threatened by a gun. And I just want to say thank you very much. You guys did a great job raising that kid. He's a beautiful child. And you, my friend, I have nothing else to say to you. Have a good night.
Hello, I'm Bidami Lewis, 53 Garden Street. I'm just here to support what my husband said. However, I just want to make something clear. As when our problem occurred and I stood before the Board of Ed and we had the closed meeting, and I looked at Dr. Katz and I looked at you and I looked at everyone there, I told them we were as transparent as daylight. We continue to be as transparent as daylight. There are people that are talking about how we might just want 5-minute, fame or whatever. I don't need the TV. I don't need the people. I know what I say. I stand by what I say because everything I say can be followed up on. The media, just to let everyone know and make it clear, there is nothing the media stated that they did not have proof to speak about, nor that they were not told by us ourselves. Just like I presented proof to you and the board at that time, the proof of how badly this was taken care of. I have very few of the board members, by the way, just apologize for their mistake, for their lack of action. But just like I proved to the board how the handlement between the lieutenant at the time that took the report, the school, and everybody else, I can prove that to anyone who has to question anything that we're saying here. And I am going to say it again. You, sir, cannot protect our children. You are not here. Never have you been here for our children because you left the Board of Ed again. Right? You're not going to protect the people at Saddlebrook because when something better comes up, you will leave this here just like you left the Board of Ed to be here. So it's sad to know because I'm sure that you have a family of your own. But then to sit there and allow you to take off my post and respond to your friend's comment is pretty disgusting. But it's okay, it's your conscience, not mine. Mine is very clear. I don't walk underneath a gray cloud, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Anyone else?
Good evening, everybody. Kevin Hickey, 270 Madison Avenue. I'm supporting Joe Camilleri, as you all know, and nothing against Dave, and I was going around and I'm handing out brochures and different things like that. But what I come up with, I see over here behind the Saddlebrook Diner a big Garrick sign, and my question was, is that town property and why is that sign there? The other thing is, there's a bunch of them by the Target range where the police do the shooting over there. I seen another sign there. I'm not sure how this takes place like this. Also, like on the Saddlebrook Mall, it looks like state property. There's another sign there. There was a couple of different houses I was handing out brochures, and there was signs in there. It looked like the houses were like ready to fall apart, whatever. And I looked them up on Zillow, and they seem to be in foreclosure. I don't know how you put a sign on a house that's in foreclosure. As well as I'm driving down, and these are like strategic spots. Also by the railroad, as you're coming down Midland Avenue by B&G Lighting, there's another sign there. I don't know that. How do you put a sign there? I just don't get. We talk about integrity and different things like that. Shouldn't you be putting signs where you're asking people where you should put a sign? There was another spot, as a lady when we were handing out the brochures, she had asked was this our sign? And it happened more than once. And we said no. She goes, well, how did you get permission to put signs? I said, it's not our sign. It was your sign. So I don't know how the signs are even going about. But there's so many different spots. Another spot was by the cemetery on the Catholic side. There's another sign in the cemetery. Did you really ask the cemetery people to put that sign there? I mean, at a certain point, you got, and I understand. I love the fact that, when you campaign against each other, it's the spirit of Saddlebrook to do this. But not when you break all the different rules. I don't think you're allowed to put signs in all these different locations. I mean, I don't know what it is. Are you putting the signs up yourself, or did you hire a construction company? I don't know what you did. But I think it's got to be pulled back. I mean, you're putting the signs in strategic spots where Joe isn't doing that because he's following the law. You're not following the law, so everybody sees your sign, so it makes people think, oh, Garrett. And I mean, I know that's how it works, but you got to think about what you're doing, Dave. It's not right. That's it.
Thank you.
Larry Ratajczak, 92 Claremont. Once again, Council President Diarmini, I'll remind you that you did campaign on no time limit up here, and you once again went back on your word, and you also can't let people speak up here longer than 3 minutes and then try to limit the other people to the 3 minutes. So if it's open, it's open. The other thing, like I say, you have to do some more homework because you almost speak as much hot air as your husband. You got to know the facts about when the prisoners are coming to work, and don't give people false hope and stuff like that. You know nothing what goes on up here. You've done nothing for your time up here, and it shows in your work up here. The other thing is, when you send a guy up here next time to talk, Councilman's ex-husband, try to write it down for him so he remembers, so he doesn't look like a dummy when he doesn't know what kind of class we need to attend. Okay, you send your own people up here, you know what I mean? But obviously they don't know what they're talking about. About the nepotism with Mr. Camilleri, that ordinance could easily be amended to take the civil service part off of it. That's all that's what the fight is about. But once again, I will tell you, you were against the Kuglers for that ordinance, and that's why that ordinance will never be amended. There's no problem with the nepotism. Take the civil service out of it, and we wouldn't be in the position that we're in right now. But you have a vendetta against the family, and you will not remove that. And that's the reason why that was put there. And Joe was against it. He voted no twice against it. So when you put your letters out and all of that, make sure you mention that he was against it 2 times. And finally he agreed under the pressure of, the deal making that you people make up here for other things. And like I said, other people were grandfathered, Samaluka, Mazer, for benefits. Camilleri was a sitting councilman. Why wasn't he grandfathered in so the civil service wouldn't affect him? You people take each other's backs? I don't think so. Like I say, you put knives in them. That's what you do. The other thing I'm going to talk about is we had a robbery and an attempted robbery on my block on Claremont. I know it's not this woman, but there's a homeless woman who walks up and down Market Street, and she's sleeping in the bus station on the spot. My son takes the bus in the morning at 7 a.m. You can't go in there. The smell is atrocious from urine and everything else, and she's living in there. Like I say, can the town reach out and give her some kind of help? Because once we get one person, we're going to have 2, we're going to have 3, and we're going to have a village of them sleeping over there. Okay, we need to nip it in the bud right now. Like I said, get the lady some kind of help. I think that was the woman that almost was hit by the train, and now she's all the way down here at the other end, and she sleeps there every night. I mean, get her into a shelter or do something. The next problem that I see coming up is the gas station on Paley Avenue. They're parking on both sides of the street. That's a heavily traveled traffic, and it needs to be done. Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. Emil Sudol, Van Leeuwen Terrace here, Township of Saddlebrook. I was confused. I didn't know if I was at a council meeting or a Board of Ed meeting there for a minute. My favorite topic, 5th Street. I know that you guys had Passaic Valley come in and clean out the sewer lines. Oh, by the way, it rained like hell last week and it didn't flood. Awesome. Very happy about that. There was an issue, I think, with the grease traps with the restaurants in town. Did we do anything about that as far as inspecting the restaurants to see if there's an issue with them dumping oils and stuff into this, which is causing most of this stuff? That's one question I had pertaining to Fifth. The second issue is I know that the entire length of Fifth Street is supposed to be paved from Market to Garfield, Outwater Lane. That's supposed to be going out to bid or whatever shortly. You guys, I counted, I just had to do this recently. There's 5 trees on the entire length of Fifth Street. When you guys pave it, do you have any plans on planting some trees on Fifth Street?
On what?
On Fifth,
No.
planting trees.
Planting trees?
Yes. I mean, because there are none. There's 5, and those were homeowner planted trees way down at the other end near Outwater Lane, from Market Street all the way down past 46. There are none. Just something I thought that, would be a good idea to look into doing. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rich McKay, 224 Evans Place. How's everyone doing? I'm here to support Joe Camilleri. Over 20 years, we've been almost best friends, and I've coached many sports with the guy. He's an upstanding person. He's a great friend. He's a good father, and he was a great councilman when he was on the council. He did very good things for this town. I know he was the go-to guy for Veterans Field when we were putting the turf in. I know a lot of people leaned on him for his advice due to his experience with the Recreation Department. Like I said, he was great when he was on the council. I think if he does get back on, he's going to be just as good as he was the first time he was on the council. As far as my opinion, I did not read this nepotism ordinance. In my opinion, as a former military guy and current member of the state police, I just think that that's pretty disgusting, that anybody that goes through the civil service process and gets a position because of his score, that is not preferential treatment due to a family member holding a position in the town. That's all on what the kid did, and it shouldn't be held against him or the family. Just my opinion, but thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
I'm Dave Sloans. I'm a former Saddlebrook resident. I'm just here to really talk just about, I don't know you, David. I'm just here to talk about what I've seen Joe do for the community. I've coached wrestling with Joe for many years. I've seen Joe involved in baseball, football as well. Mayor, we've talked to the Cub Scouts a couple weeks ago. I think what the council has been doing here for the past couple of years, phenomenal. You guys made so many improvements. Samuka, we've talked about this as well. I think you guys are doing a great job, and you really have moved it forward, especially in the recreation department. I look at Joe as someone who did that, who was part of that. I've seen all the hours he has put into the programs, completely selfish. He was not there like our coaches for his 4 boys. He was there for everybody. And again, I don't know you, David, so you may be a great guy. I'm not here to talk anything ill towards you. I just know that Joe Camilleri, great guy. He's put a lot of effort into this town. And I hope to see him on this council again, because I know what he has done. And listen, you've all been part of that. And I think what you guys have been moving towards has been great. I hope to continue to see that. And I just know, I just want to let everyone know how I feel about Joe Camilleri. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you just give your address for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry.
This is a former resident.
No, your present address, because I think they need it for the record keeping.
Sure. 595 Concord Ave, Washington Township.
Sylvie Zottarelli, 232 Lanza Ave. I was up here last month, and I'll stand by what I said last month because we're now a month later or a week away from election, and the mudslinging is disgusting. I have the utmost respect for everyone up there. I just am so disgusted and appalled by the stuff that I've been seeing. But with that being said, that's my own thing. The sign issue. Last year, my husband ran for Board of Ed. There were a lot of issues with signs disappearing, who was taking, I'm not accusing anybody, but is there any way the town can put an ordinance in place that people have to give sign permission? So when someone asks, Mr. Garrick, did you put that sign there? You have something in paper. Yeah, that person said I could. And it would eliminate a lot of the illegal signs, or whatever you want to call them, being put in strategic places, like Mr. Hickey said. Don't know if you can do that, but that might solve the problem.
Okay,
Have a good evening.
thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, motion to close the meeting to the public? All in favor? Aye. Comments? Andrew, now or later?
At the work session today, the engineer introduced some change orders on the construction for certain things that apparently between when we started and now, the code has changed, so we're working on that, and we have authorized, or we will be authorizing additional funding for that, and I think we're at the point where we're ready to buy the kitchen equipment for the snack stand. It's going according to plans, and we are bringing back the original concept, which was the pavers on the high spot where you can sit there during a game. We really don't want people eating on the field or in the stands, so we want you to sit up there, and you should have a good view, and it should look, according to the original plans, look beautiful, and we expect it to be just as beautiful now. What I got? Senior Center, we do have, they just dropped off plans, so I guess if you want to, you can come to Town Hall for the proposed construction of the Senior Center. It's construction drawings. It's not really it's not really a rendering of what it's going to look like, but it's construction drawings. But if you are interested and you know how to read these things, they're here, so you can take a look at them. We talked at the work session also, because the chief and the deputy chief and some battalion chiefs, I think, the battalion captains? Battalion chiefs came by. We're talking about the equipment. These fire engines are a little different than your town cars, or your home cars, because we basically just go on mileage. That's the way. You got 150,000 miles, it might be time to change it. Here, you can have a fire truck, or a police car for that matter, that's 20,000 miles, but they go by hours of use, because at a fire, they're not traveling around in a circle. They're there for 3 hours. The vehicle is operating for 3 hours. Even though it's not moving, there's not 1 mile on that vehicle. So it's by engine use, by hours, and what we plan on doing, I mentioned it to the council, and there was absolutely no disagreement on this, that we would like to do a plan whereby our equipment is always up to date, like we're doing with the police vehicles, like we're doing with the road pavings. You can't just do them all at once. So we're a little bit behind the time, but we are catching up, so that this way every 4 or 5 years, however it turns out, we will be getting a truck to replace an older truck which would be at or beyond its useful lifespan. And this way we can always have a piece of equipment, and as we finish, it will just be a continuous exchange of old equipment for new equipment. And I think that's something that's long overdue. Shame on me for not doing this before, but I think we will accomplish that like we're doing with the police vehicles. Grease traps, I think Emil brought up the grease traps. We brought that up the last time. We're working on the ordinance. There are other ordinances in other towns that we can go by as a template. And this way, it'll be codified that they have to do certain things, they have to install certain kind of equipments in their restaurants, and we contract out with the Board of Health, the County Board of Health, and they would be able to inspect them, and if they're not in accordance with our grease trap ordinance, they would be fined, and the fines would come back to Saddlebrook. But not really worried about the fines, we're worried about not having a situation like Mr. Rango had said, where there were basketball-sized puddle, just balls of grease that were stuck in our sewers and causing a lot of problems. And I'm glad that Mr. Sudol had indicated that during the last heavy rainstorm that there wasn't anything. I'm not going to guarantee that it's never going to happen, but it's a good sign that in doing this recent work, that a relatively heavy rainfall did not result in some flooding. Later on, I'm just going to bring it up to Mr. Arango now. There was some concern that I see on Facebook, what's happening on near the Terra Mini Mall, Market Street and Fifth Street, shut down. There's 1,000 vehicles apparently with all kinds of flashing lights. So we'll just, Mr. Arango could go into that when he gets an opportunity to just tell the residents what exactly was happening over there. Somebody came up a couple of months ago and they asked about if Saddlebrook was going to be a sanctuary city. And I guess I poo-pooed it and said, are you kidding me? But, we have somebody who says that New Jersey is going to be a sanctuary state. Okay, in light of what's happening out there, if somebody wanted to know my opinion on that and my position, hell no. Saddlebrook is not going to be a sanctuary city, and if I get my wishes, New Jersey will not be a sanctuary state. Thank you.
I too would like to thank the chief for coming in tonight, our fire chief, Tom Dickman, for the education also. We're more than happy to make the investment in the fire department. We appreciate everything that you guys do, that's for sure. But again, thank you for the education on it, and we will move forward, I'm sure. And also, I'd like to also thank the police department and the fire department. It seems the last couple of weeks, there's been major emergencies on Market Street, and you guys handled it amazingly well. Really thank you for all your service. And I'd like to congratulate all the participants of the Halloween decorating contest. There are some amazing sights out there, and I'm sure Christmas will bring also the same. And as far as the traffic box, the flashing, I've said that months ago. I've seen it on Harrison Avenue in Garfield. When I go down there, it is a deterrent. I know firsthand. I did have slowed down, and I think it's an awesome idea. And I think it'll be a great investment on many of the townships, streets. And I'd be happy to, whatever we need to do and put in the budget to move that forward. And Ms. Barisi would appreciate your, with bringing up that traffic light again. I know I've been in that traffic sometimes for the cycle 3, 4, 5 times, and we really to move forward. And on a final note, right now, I'd like to wish everybody good luck in the election. Elections are never easy. If they call it the silly season, it's not so silly sometimes. But I believe everybody has their heart in the right place, and I wish everyone lots of good luck in it. Thank you.
Councilman Garrett?
I'd just like to mention a couple of events from Saturday. We had our trunk or treat. I'd like to thank Shannon Arcamundo, as well as Walmart for donating all the candy. On Saturday night at the VFW, we had Drums from Heaven. Mr. Hayes came in last month and spoke about it. It was a fundraiser for Joanne Brendel. It was very successful. It was a very nice event. In regards to some of the comments that were made today, last month I addressed them as well. I would like to add, the Saddlebrook Police Department was also notified and thoroughly investigated in regards to any threats. At no time did I feel that the staff, the students were in danger, because if they were, the school board as a whole would have done something about it.
That's why it took 2 weeks.
In addition, I'd like to just comment on the signs. We have signs going up all over town, obviously. We have a lot of volunteers doing that. Some of the addresses Mr. Hickey mentioned, I will look into immediately. In addition, I would just like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Accomundo?
First, I'd like to clear up. Karen didn't mention the inmate issue. It wasn't Karen that mentioned it, so it's not on her lap to mention the inmates being utilized and given false hope. Just want to clear that up. I would like to thank all who volunteered and supported the trunk or treat. It was a great event. Walmart was there with, not only was the manager there, but he had 4 employees handing out candy as well as 24 cars, I believe it was. So that was great. To all the parents that took time out of their weekend to spend 2 hours making those kids happy was great. We had 300 children that showed up for candy, which was fantastic. I would like to thank Christine. I don't know if she's still here. Christine, great help. Karen, great job. My wife, and I just look forward to the continued success of the trunk or treat as it just gets better every year. My thoughts on the nepotism. I feel the nepotism ordinance involving the police is unlawful and we should revisit it. Saddlebrook residents should be given the choice to elect a qualified candidate representing their best interests. Like my counterparts did, they endorse an individual, and me personally, I will be voting for Joe Camilleri on the 2nd. Happy Thanksgiving and have a good night.
Thank you. Mayor?
Thank you, Council President. I just want to start off by saying, I don't know if he's still here, Joe Camilleri. I don't know if he is, but I just want to say that I'm sorry that he feels that I'm a small person. Joe, I'm sorry that you feel I'm a small person, but I happen to agree with most everybody here that came and said nice things about you. I think you're a good guy, and I think you were a good councilman. It's never been about you, Joe, personally. Okay, I've been firm. We've had discussions, you and I, about this. After you resigned, it's not personal. I just disagree with you wholeheartedly about you running, and that's my issue.
You had to talk, or
No.
not? So then why did they even come back in the room? You know, because it's about bringing your buddy in, Bobby. That's what it is.
No, Joe.
And you're the
All
one
right,
that
all
told
right,
me
no,
I
I
could run.
can't do, it's his turn to speak, it's the mayor speaking.
Well, anyway, I think I've been firm all along about this particular issue. I'm also, I do not disrespect your son, okay? I happen to think he's a fine young gentleman. I was proud to hire him, as I was proud to hire the others that were ahead of him, that were hired as well. I feel that he's not being used as a political football. I think Joe running is opening that up. So that's just my feeling on it. I feel, and here's the other thing. Last month, Joe had said to me that, I might not be up here in the future. I don't think, Joe, that you get it. I think the issue is, it's not your son. The issue is we have the anti-nepotism ordinance for a reason. And it doesn't have anything to do with your son being an employee. It has to do with you or any elected official or any department or division head that has influence. And I'm not even saying that, Joe, if you're reelected, I don't want to get into civil service, but because we could be here all night. But what I am saying is, what I feel is that the potential, I'm not even saying that Joe Camilleri, if elected, will use his influence, but the potential is there, and I've seen it happen with other people. So, with that being said, that's my feeling on it.
Civil service.
So, I didn't interrupt when you were speaking. Let me get into my comments now that I had prepared. Just in regard to the homeless woman, and the gas station over there, that is currently being addressed. So we got several complaints about that. Thank you for bringing that up. the New Jersey Local Finance Board, our CFO, Ray Carnival, our bond counsel, Steve Roga, and I went to the New Jersey Local Finance Board meeting on October 11th, where the township's application to bond for tax appeals over a 6-year period was heard. Our professionals did a fantastic job, and our application was approved. So we have a 6-year time period to pay that off in, which really helps us out and helps the residents with taxes. So that was quite an experience, and again, they did a fabulous job. I want to thank the Fire Chief Dickman and Assistant Chief Chris Slomo for coming up here tonight, earlier at our work session. Look, safety is paramount, and we as a governing body, I feel I speak for all of them, we want to do what's right, and we want to provide you with the necessary equipment and apparatus so that all the firefighters in the community are safe. It was mentioned about the New Jersey DOT application for 2018. There's a special application, which I think we're eligible for, trucks, and deals with trucks, heavy trucks and freight. The town engineer will be submitting this application to the NJDOT. The recommendation from the council was to pave Mayhill Street between Market and Susquehanna Railroad tracks. Community Development Block Grant, I spoke about that last month. We did receive notice from the Federal Housing and Urban Development that we were approved for the $180,000 grant funding for our senior center clerk position, and also Phase 3 of the drainage improvements on Liberty and North and South Leswing area. Veterans Field concession stand and bathrooms, the engineer spoke about that earlier at the work session. This week, we got some productivity. The roof trusses were delivered, and they're being installed. This project is moving along nicely, and I think we're going to we will finish in time. The permit and license fee ordinance that we spoke about, that we're going to vote on, this involves township fees for permits for applications, and it hasn't been revised in many years. So all that was done was the fees were reviewed along with the department heads, and recommendations were made to bring them to more up to date. We have a resolution on tonight for drive sober or get pulled over. The police will be out this holiday season enforcing DWI laws, so please drive safely and don't drink and drive. The Mayor's Youth Group had a fundraiser on October the 3rd, 2017 at McDonald's, where a portion of their proceeds were donated to the Mayor's Youth Group. We collected $225, which should pay for a plaque for the park bench at Kern Street Park. Leaf bags, we still have leaf bags. Town Hall will be open for residents to pick up the bags on Sunday, November 5th, this Sunday, and Election Day, Tuesday, November 7th, from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Not Sunday, 11 to 2.
What's that?
11 to 2 on Sunday, not 7 to 7.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, on Sunday, okay. On Sunday, it's 11 to 2. Thanks, Pete. Got some October events that we went to. We had the senior Halloween party, as was already spoken about, I believe. We held our senior Halloween party at the VFW. Many seniors came in costumes, and it was a nice night of fun. They had music, good food, dancing. It was a great way to welcome in our fall season and celebrate Halloween. I want to thank K Pasta, Moochie's, Frank's, and the Golden Pub for donating food. The Trunk or Treat, as Todd spoke about, was a great event. I want to thank all the families that came out and those who sponsored the trunks. Also, Walmart for donating a good portion of the candy. That was very nice of them. Special thanks to Projects and Activities Committee Chairwoman Shannon Nakamundo for planning and organizing the event, along with my secretary, Christine Januario, Council President Karen Darminio, and also Councilman Todd Nakamundo. Drums from Heaven was mentioned. It was a very nice event for Joanne Brindell, who takes many of our volunteers and takes many of our photographs at township events. It was a very nice event. Tommy really goes out of his way for all good charitable causes, so thank you. Congratulations to the Halloween decoration contest winners. I want to thank all the residents who participated. We've got some upcoming events. We've got Veterans Day ceremony on Saturday, November 11th at the VFW Circle at 11 a.m. We have the holiday tree lighting Friday, November 24th at 6 p.m. at Town Hall. Immediately afterwards, we're going to have the Christmas party at the Saddlebrook High School Middle School gym. I also have a couple of things, nice things that I'm proud of, as well as the rest of the council and the town should be proud of. And actually, Nancy DePalma had brought this up to me at the last meeting. I had forgotten to mention it, but at that particular time, we were ranked in Money Magazine as 24th best place to live in the United States, which is quite an honor. And we also, this week, there was an article in, it was on NJ.com, which is the Star Ledger, that we have the 10th least violent crime in New Jersey out of 570-something towns. We're 10th least violent crime. So thank our police department for that and all our emergency services. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you. Ordinance.
Ordinance 1632-17 is a refunding bond ordinance providing for the funding of $2,024,753 of a $2,197,367,000 emergency appropriation for tax appeals in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, to appropriate the additional sum of $75,247 to pay the costs thereof, and to authorize the issuance of $2,100,000 of bonds or notes to finance the funding of said emergency appropriation and additional appropriations for second reading.
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Samaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dormini?
Yes.
A refunding bond ordinance providing for the funding of $2,124,753 of a $2,107,367,000 emergency appropriation for tax appeals in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, to appropriate the additional sum of $75,247 to pay the costs thereof, and to authorize the issuance of $2,100,000 of bonds or notes to finance the funding of said emergency appropriation for additional appropriation.
Motion.
Motion open to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The meeting is now open to the public on this ordinance only.
Larry, retired check 92 Claremont. When are we going to be finished with these tax appeals? This $2 million is for tax appeals, old ones?
To date. Is Mr. Bang here?
But when are we going to be finished? We've been getting told for years that we're cleaning up. Are we done?
I can address that.
Okay.
Madam President, members of the council, Mayor White. This bond, as you know, is really to pay off a number of tax appeals that have already been settled. When I was appointed earlier this year in January, I did a status report, and as of February 1st, we had 171 pending separate docket items before the tax court. Now, it turned out a majority of them had actually already been settled by my predecessors with the approval of the township's expert appraiser and the township assessor. But for some reason, the resolutions approving these settlements were never issued, forwarded to this body. So what happened is when I took over, there was like a 2-year backlog, and the tax court, Judge Novins, who was handling Saddlebrook matters at the time, basically was forcing the township to have to give up these settlements and go to trial on everything, which would, in the end, just produce a huge amount of legal fees, expert fees, and might produce a end result that was far worse in terms of refunds. But however, we did manage to convince the judge that there was a change in the governing body, there was a change in some of the professionals involved, so that he gave us a short window of time. So we were able to get these, as you know, these resolutions were submitted and approved by this governing body. The problem then is there is a short amount of time in which to pay off the refund on these appeals.
because interest starts accruing after a certain point. I had negotiated on most of these appeals 90 to 120 days of waiver. Traditionally, when we do tax appeals in tax court, we usually try to negotiate something to 30 to 60 days, but under the unusual circumstances, most of the taxpayers were willing to give this township extra time. Still, 120 days was not sufficient. This township, I guess, did not have sufficient money in the budget because there was no notice given to this governing body that there was this huge cloud of refunds that were coming down the pipeline. And that's one of the reasons why this bond had to be passed. To answer your question, this does not take care of every tax appeal that's out there. As I said, when in February 1st, there was 171 open docket items. As of today, there's 74. So over
I don't care about the
74,
resident.
there's 74.
pending
So
items.
We're not care about residential. They're minor. We're going for the, and.
Well, these
when
are all.
When are these tax appeals from? What years?
Well, these are all tax appeals that are in tax court. Most of the
From what
cases in
year?
tax court are commercial. There's only a handful of residential matters there. These appeals go all the way back to 2012. The vast majority of the tax appeals that are actually pending in tax court right now are from 2013, 14, and 15 because after that, as you know, the real estate market conditions have improved, so the number of tax appeals started shrinking.
We've been told for years that we're done, we're cleaned up, we're done. And every 6 months or whatever, we always find another 2 million
Well,
outstanding. When does it end? Put it this way, when do we put a cap on the job?
First,
When?
there never will be an end because every year there's always going to be new people who file a tax appeal.
Right, but we were told with
But in-
this rolling assessment that we have, that that'll eliminate 99% of all tax appeals. So obviously, you can't have 171. If you're gonna tell me that with this rolling assessment that we did was to stop these commercial tax appeals, obviously, I wanna know, how many are currently for this year or in the last year?
Well, 2017, we only got about 20 to 30 new appeals.
Right. How many
With
big
his rolling
commercials?
assessments,
How many
they're
big
all
commercials?
commercials.
Of course,
And so
of
with
course.
his rolling reassessment, we are going to get fewer and fewer every year. In terms of the ones that are, again, are existing before the reassessment, I'd say right now we got about 71. Again, of those, the majority of them will probably wind up resolving them very shortly. The only reason that we haven't resolved most of them already is because we've been delaying it on purpose so that this township would not get hit with all these other refunds on top of this. So we've been pushing everything back so that they will be part of the 2018 cycle.
Can't keep doing that though, because that's
Well-
what we do, and then that's how we get buried.
Well, in
And we were
2018
told with this new program that they have, that we're gonna eliminate this. And you're telling us that it's gonna keep going on, that we have 70 already commercial tax appeals. We don't
Well-
need 70 commercial tax appeals. We can't handle them.
Well,
Because that program, so in other words, that program was a waste of money.
I'm sorry, what program?
The program that we have, the rolling assessment. It was supposed to stop commercial tax appeals. And I said that they will be in here. And the guy assured me and said, no, you're not gonna get them now. We have the card now, we take that
Okay.
card away from them, and we do this and we do that, and then now we're bonding 2 million, so that's not
I
bad.
apologize if I
No,
wasn't
that's not
clear.
bad.
The
No, no,
74
you weren't
that's
even here
right,
for
but the
that.
74 that's remaining are not the new cases. They're from the old backlog.
Right, but
Uh,
we're
so
supposed
at
to
the-
be cleared up. We were told we're cleared up. We're cleared up. People in the audience that comes every month, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
We were told we had nothing in the bottom drawers. Everything was on the top. These
I
people
don't know
are
what
not
to
doing
tell
their
you
job
from.
then, if
from-
we still have them
No,
buried.
actually, the governing body can only pass resolutions that's before them. I do not know why my predecessor did not submit these resolutions to the governing body.
Because we didn't
Just
have the
wasn't.
money. It's that simple. He didn't
Just
have the
wasn't
money
that.
and he wasn't doing his job. That's why.
So-
And we blew another 300,000 on the rolling assessments. And we're still getting these
All right,
things.
So, where are we now, exactly?
Broke.
Mr. Bang?
That's where we are.
So we have actually about 74 pending cases left over from the backlog. Again, the majority of them will be taken care of as soon as we get into the new 2018 cycle. And as for the new cases, again, about 20 to 30 from 2017. And as you know, filing a tax appeal is like filing a lawsuit. Everybody has a right to do it. It doesn't mean that you're going to win. Reassessments, what it does is it usually makes their job a lot harder to win or prevail in tax court. It doesn't prevent them from filing. You're always going to have, there's a number of taxpayers' attorneys who make a habit of just filing regardless every year. And I see a handful of those already. These are going to wind up being withdrawn or dismissed at some point. So that's nothing you can do. Everybody has a right to file. In terms of actually credible tax appeals, that they might actually be able to get some sort of refund in the future, I would say those are definitely, the reassessment is making an impact, and we're getting, again, we had a tremendous reduction in the number of filings in 2017 as opposed to previous years. And I suspect 2018, that reduction will continue. And while, again, this is not all of the backlog, it does represent a big portion of it. The second portion will be swallowed up by the 2018 budget cycle, but then from what I understand, the CFO has explained is that the additional tax revenue will sort of take care of all that, so we won't have to bond for those. And once that is done, you'll only hear from me like once in a blue moon, because at that point we'll be going to a nice regular slow schedule where it's just the occasional few tax appeals that come up and down the pipeline, but the backlog will have been taken care of by that point.
Thank you. Motion to close.
I'm not finished yet, because he got up here and interrupted me. Did this gentleman ever sit down with Mr. Carlson and let Mr. Carlson give his sales pitch to this guy and tell him how he was going to take that card away from Park 80 Plaza, the Marriott and Zuckerberg's, how he sold it to us and how he sold that program to you? Did he ever speak with Mr. Carlson? Who is it? Like I said, this is a new guy on the team now, right? He's new. So obviously we had to go out and get somebody new to handle our old problems that were supposed to be handled with this new company, the rolling assessment company. Why do we have to go and hire this guy now? And this guy goes out and finds $2 million that we got an emergency bond. We were not supposed to have this. We were not supposed to be in this position. We were supposed to be going like this, and I took that card away. They don't have the card no more. They can't trick us in court no more. We'll beat them, we'll do this. Here's a guy telling you the truth. They'll always come in. And I told you, they hire the attorneys for free. They work on the percentage. So if the guy gets a $300,000 tax appeal, he gets a third of that, he gets $100,000. That's not bad. That's not bad, and that's what these guys do, and I told you that last year. That is what's going to happen. Them lawyers are never going to stop working, never, and they're always going to beat us up. So we wasted that money on the rolling assessment, and you're putting the burden on the residents going after them. Every year we're going to do a section of the town, a section of the town, a section. In the meantime, they're operating on the honor system, where we can't go into their buildings. We can't see what percentage of the rentals they have and what they claim. We believe what they tell us. And you know what? You know what they told us? They want $2 million back. That's what they told us. And that's what you're going to give them. That's what you were hired to do, give our money away. This council hired a company to stop it. I told you from the beginning, it wasn't going to work. Listen.
Chair?
Sure.
Larry.
Yes.
Those tax appeals were prior to the tax assessment, the assessment.
But we were
These were
told,
all right, hold on,
we
let
were
me
told
speak.
that they were all cleaned up. I'm
Yeah,
telling
as
you,
of-
ask people that come to the
Larry,
meetings every month.
Larry, please, I just want to respond.
Go
to-
ahead.
We were told from 2009, if I'm not mistaken, these assessments were from 2009 to 2016.
Appeals.
These appeals.
Right.
That's what this bond is for. The rolling assessment, as of right now, we got 21. I would
Shouldn't
say
have any,
that's-
though. With the new program, we shouldn't have any.
Well, they
Not
didn't say
any.
we-
I'm saying single digits.
I know, but they didn't say
we
we're going
should
to have any. They said we should lower, and I think.
Right,
by
you
all
can't
means,
count
that lowered it.
residentials, because residentials are a couple thousand. We can eat them.
Reduced it. It reduced it.
But it
It's
redu-
the
and they
big
said-
ones. It's the big ones that hurt.
Yeah, and he said majority.
So
of
there's
the
got to be some big
171
ones in there. But there's got to be some big ones in there. Why didn't we clean it up? We were told they were cleaned up. We were told that. Don't tell me what we weren't told. We were told by Carlson, we're done. We're clean now. We're starting out clean. This new company, this is going to work. We're going to put them in. I said, no, the lawyers are never going to stop working.
Listen, I'm as surprised as you are with the 71, I believe it is. Because we were told from 2009 to 2016, every tax appeal would be resolved.
Yeah, but they can't,
now-
you know what? Here's what we got to do, Todd. You can't be told. Tell the guy to bring it to you in the paper. Show me on the paper. This guy's got how many new ones that we were never told about? They're in the bottom drawer. Show me. So tell me when we have a zero balance. I know we never will, but just tell me when we have a balance under 100,000 on tax appeals, which we never will.
When we do, I'll tell you.
Yeah, but we're never going to have it. We're never going to have it. And that program that we have is not working. It's to check the residential. We don't need the residents don't need any more taxes. It's the commercial that needs the taxes, and the commercial should carry the town, not the residents.
They went up 2%, the commercial properties. Well, I think that I think your taxes were lowered this year, weren't they?
A couple hundred, yeah.
Well,
So that means I was overpaying.
about 60% of the town went down. Residential.
Motion's closed.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that the ordinance entitled, "A Refunding Bond Ordinance Providing for the Funding of $2,024,753 of a $2,107,367,000 emergency appropriation for tax appeals in, by, and for the Township of Saddlebrook and the County of Bergen, New Jersey, to appropriate the additional sum of $75,247 to pay the cost thereof, and to authorize the issuance of $2,100,000 of bonds or notes to finance the funding of said emergency appropriation and additional appropriation that is now passed on second and final reading, and that the Township Clerk be directed to advertise said ordinance or title thereof in the press, together with the notice of the date of passage of said ordinance according to law.
Motion to approve? Motion to approve.
Roll call.
Councilman Simaluka.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer. Councilman Garrick.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Dormini.
Yes.
Ordinance for first reading is ordinance number 1633-17. It's an ordinance to amend certain fees of the Township of Saddlebrook. For first reading,
Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Simaluka.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer.
Yes.
Councilman Garrick.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that an ordinance to amend certain fees of the Township of Saddlebrook, heretofore passed on first reading, be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on the 7th day of December 2017 at 7:00 p.m. or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of a time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Motion.
Motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Simaluka.
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer.
Yes.
Councilman Garrick.
Yes.
Councilman Accomando.
Yes.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes.
All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine and non-controversial by the Township Council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member or member so requests it, in which case the item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. The one motion signifies adoption of all resolutions, receive and file letters, correspondence, reports, and approval of minutes and applications. Not part of the consent agenda will be the October 3rd, 2017 special public meeting minutes. Adding to the consent agenda based on discussion at the work session be resolution number 9 for change order number 2 for Veterans Field, number 10, change order number 3 for Veterans Field, number 11, resolution to authorize the engineer to prepare a grant application for the local freight input grant for Mayhill Street, and correspondence will be the two letters from the engineer for the change orders 2 and 3.
Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Simulka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes.
And we have the October 3rd, 2017 special public meeting.
Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Simulka?
Abstain, I was not here for that meeting.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes. Old business? Anyone? New business?
Under new Chairman, Madam Chairperson, or Council President, I always forget. I'm just going to defer to Mr. Arango. I had indicated before that he would speak about the gas situation, and not his personal gas situation, but the one on Market Street.
On October 27th, we discovered that we had a local failure of sanitary sewer line located at 490 Market Street. We contacted a contractor. He made the one call, which is the telephone, which you call the utilities that come out in the market. No utilities were marked out.
Rick, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. On October 27th? On October 27th, there was a localized failure in the sanitary sewer line located at 490 Market Street. We contracted with a contractor. He made the one call, which calls all the utilities. They do the mark out. Contractor arrived on site, started digging the excavation, found the gas service, hand dug the gas service, which was located about 29 inches below, and the contractor safely secured the gas line. While he was digging below the gas line to get to the sewer line, part of the embankment, there was these large pieces of shale, had dislodged, hit the gas line, and punctured 2 small holes in the gas line. The police who were doing the traffic control immediately contacted PSE&G and the fire department. This took place around 6:30 p.m. and Market Street was closed. The firemen scouted the surrounding areas and dwellings with gas meters to assure that a safe environment. PSE&G arrived, shut the gas service, assessed the situation, and found out that they had to replace the gas service all the way to the restaurant, which would take 6 or 7 hours. At that point, the contractor secured the site and left, returned the next morning at 5 in the morning, and completed the repair of the sanitary sewer line.
Thank you.
Chair,
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Rick, the contractor that damaged the pipe, that broke the gas pipe, is he responsible for all the additional costs to repair?
The gas service? No.
Right.
No, that's all PSE&G takes care
Public
of.
service will take care of that?
Actually,
There's no
PSE&G
addition-
vacated the
What I'm
service.
saying is there's no additional cost to the town
No.
because it was their mistake, right?
Right.
Okay.
Madam President, just one other thing on the new business. I don't know if the mayor talked. Did you talk about the Veterans Day service?
I mentioned it, yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay, so this year, it's always November 11th, which is the official Veterans Day, and it could be any day of the week because it's not just on Monday or something. This year happens to be on a Saturday. It's at 11 o'clock. It's at the Circle, the VFW Circle on Saddle River Road. Fire department's there, police department's there, the honor guard. It really is a very, very nice service. It is on a Saturday this year, and I know a lot of people have things with sports and everything, but if you can make it, it's a very nice event, and it shows a lot of respect to our veterans and those fighting currently overseas. So hopefully I will see you there. They do serve refreshments at the post afterwards. Like I said, it's a nice couple of hours.
One other-
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, one other thing, just through the chair, I just want to thank the residents in Fairlawn Parkway and the woman from the south end about the light, the sequence of the light on 46. And just thank you for coming. We are going to, it's a genuine concern, and we're going to look into it as the chief spoke. Hopefully we can figure something out, a more permanent solution to rectify those problems.
I was just going to ask that also. Rick, would you be involved in that with those boxes, those radar boxes, since you are, so you'll coordinate with the chief so that we could move that along really rather quickly? Do you have anything?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know, he takes up a lot. No, I'd just like to mention that I did get the opportunity to go over the plans for the senior housing. Had a chance this week to come in and take a look at it. It is coming to fruition, and it looks awesome, and hopefully it'll be a completed project before we know it. Yeah, looks good. Unfortunately, I just wish we had more opportunity to put some work, but maybe hopefully in the future. Yeah, looks like a great project. Thank you.
Under new business, I'd like to ask for a motion so that Pete could prepare a bond ordinance for the fire truck to have it ready for the next meeting.
Motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Simaluka?
Yes.
Councilwoman Meza?
Yes.
Councilman Garrick?
Yes.
Councilman Accomando?
Yes.
Council President Dorminio.
Yes. Dave, do you have anything?
No, nothing bad, thank you.
Todd?
Just that with the Fairlawn Parkway, are we coordinating with Fairlawn to do their half?
I did make a phone call, and I got a call back from the engineer.
Because maybe we could see if they'd want to put the radars up as well. If we have it just from Wilson down to Cambridge, it gives a good speedway from Broadway to Wilson. I think if we could just coordinate something with them, it'll be nice, because it's gonna, once they do pave, it's going to turn into a speedway, unfortunately. But hopefully we could do something and give peace of mind.
Would they
Safety.
work on President also? I didn't see them, I haven't seen that box that you're talking about, but would that work on President, maybe?
I don't see why not.
They're very, very bright lights. They're very white light. It's a strobe.
Better than a speed bump, I would think, right?
Well,
No?
You just got to nobody strokes too, looking at that light. You know what I mean? I've seen they have it in Wayne going down Alps Road. When you're going down too fast, the thing just flashes, flashes. You're just staring at it. Now you got spots in front of your eyes. Who knows? It's worth a try.
Motion to open to the public for agenda items only.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is now open to the public on agenda items only. Anybody wishing to speak, please come forward, state your name and your address. Seeing none, motion to close the
Motion.
meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone else have any comments? I'd like to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. And with that, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.